Okay, fifth graders, this week we've been on a journey to measure or to multiply fractions. First we did unit fractions by unit fractions. Whenever we multiply a unit fraction, by the way, the product will always have a numerator of what?
1.
Yeah, and so when we were coloring in our double shaded, we always only double shaded one square out of all the units. Then we multiplied non-unit fractions by unit fractions. When we did that, we were always having one row double colored. Then we multiplied non-unit fractions by non-unit fractions when then all bets were off and we can color in as many rows as we wanted. Do you guys see that? Today we're going to culminate or put everything we learned together by solving word problems by multiplying fractions. Okay? Very good. An example of these kinds of problems is your problem of the day. It says Anthony bought an 8-foot board. That means he bought one board that's 8 feet long. He cut off 3/4 of the board to build a shelf and gave 1/3 of the rest to his brother for an art project. How many inches was the piece that Anthony gave to his brother? We're going to figure out how many inches did he give to his brother. So the important stuff with this is always making sure it's a fraction of what?
Of the remaining.
Okay, in this case it's of the remaining. It's not always of the remaining. For example, yesterday's exit ticket, when it asked about text, or I forget what the context was, but it was not of the remaining. It was of what they told you. Okay, so you'll have to read it carefully. A lot of you guys are assuming that it's always of the remaining. It's not, but in this case it is. Okay, so we know he had 8 feet altogether, and he cut off 3/4 of the board. It always helps you figure out if you draw 2 tape diagrams. So first you draw and you act out what's going on in the problem. So first we know he has an 8-foot board. Okay, he cut off 3/4 of the board to make a shelf. How could I draw on my tape diagram to act that out? Addison?
So you could split the tape diagram into 4 parts.
Split it into fourths.
Yeah. And then you could like
Show that 3/4. Okay.
3/4 that he cut off that much.
Yeah.
And there's
Oh, sorry, to make a shelf. Good. So what fraction is remaining?
1/4.
Yeah, 1/4 is the rest, or remaining. There's my first tape diagram. Then he took 1/3 of the rest. So here's that rest part, and he split it into thirds. He gave 1/3 to his brother. We want to figure out how much he gave to his brother. So if this is what we're trying to find out here, this is 1/3 of this, right? Which is the same as this. So it's 1/3 of.
1/4.
Good. Okay. So how can I find out what 1/3 of 1/4 is? Well, I can multiply. 1/3 times 1/4 is 1/12. But this is 1/12 of the board. The whole board, right?
Yeah.
Is that what the question's asking? The question's asking how many inches. So it's 1/12 of the board. What is the board? 8 feet. Well, I know that 8 feet is the same as how many inches? 8 times 12, which is?
96.
So I'm trying to find 1/12 of 96 inches. How can I do that? Well, I know the word of means multiplication. So this is the same as 1/12 times 96. If I make 96 copies of 1/12, how many 12ths do I have? What? How many 12ths do I have?
8.
I have 8 12ths? Like that? If I make 96 copies of 1/12, how many 12ths do I have?
96.
Thank you, 96 12ths. How many holes are in 96 12ths?
8.
How many 12ths are left? So what's the answer?
8 inches.
Very good. As long as we're able to identify what the question's asking, the important information, and draw a picture, you'll see it's super easy to solve. What's this question asking? Ikaksh?
How many cupcakes have vanilla frost?
Yeah, we're going to figure out how many vanilla. Okay? So let's look for all the important information. We know that he has 30 cupcakes altogether. He spreads mint on 1/5 of the cupcakes. And then chocolate on half of the remaining. And all the rest are vanilla. So every time I'm solving word problems, I act it out in my head. And then I draw a tape diagram to match it. Let me show you what I mean. First, I know that he has 30 cupcakes all together. So go ahead and draw 30 cupcakes. he spreads mint icing on 1/5 of them. So I have to divide it into 5 equal sized portions. And I'm going to show that 1/5 equals mint. Then, whenever we see the word of the remaining or of the rest, that means I have to draw a second tape diagram that's the rest, right? So I'm going to show, and sometimes I draw an arrow, sometimes I don't. I'm going to show that this is the rest. Now, of the rest, half are chocolate. And the rest are vanilla. And I'm trying to find out how many are vanilla. So if half of the rest are chocolate, what fraction of the rest are vanilla?
Half.
Yeah. So it's still half of, and then this piece, remember, was the rest, which is the same as this part right here. What fraction was the rest? Addison? 4/5. So we're trying to find half of 4/5. Well, I know that's equal to 1/2, or 1 times 4, over 2 times 5, which is 4/10, which simplified is 2/5. So that means 2/5 of all the cupcakes are vanilla. And sometimes the answer is going to ask us what fraction of all the cupcakes is vanilla. But is that what this one's asking? No. This one's asking how many. And if I say 2/5, that means 2/5 of one cupcake is vanilla. Is that true? So today's problems are taking it one step further. Before, it was always just asking what fraction of all of them, or what fraction of all the cars, or what fraction of all the text, or what fraction of something, right? But today we're not asking what fraction. We're actually asking how many, or what actual number. So if I know that 2/5 of all the cupcakes, well, I can solve that by doing this. I know it's 2/5 of all the cupcakes. Okay, well, let's leave it like that. Which means that's 2/5 of, how many were all the cupcakes?
30.
So then I just do 2/5 of 30. Because it's like all the cupcakes is 30, right? So you just have to match it like that. Then I know this is the same thing as 2/5 times 30, or 2 times 30 all over 5, or 60 over 5. What's 60 divided by 5?
12.
So the answer is 12 cupcakes. Yeah, that would be the complete sentence, but I'm okay if you just write 12 cupcakes too. But if you write 12 cupcakes are vanilla, also perfect.